Hey guys, welcome to today's video. In this video, I'm going to be going over my top 5 admin tips that will help new and existing sellers stay on top of their admin and make it much easier for themselves. So if that's something that interests you, stay tuned. For those of you that are new here, my name is Simon. I am a 6-figure Amazon seller in the UK. I've been selling for about 2 years now and I've made over £100,000 profit in that time. So without further ado, let's get into these tips. The first tip I'm going to give you is to ensure you have a separate bank account for your business. Now, whether you're doing this as a sole trader or a limited company, it's very important to keep your business transactions separate from your personal transactions. So the very first thing you should do before you even get started on Amazon is open a separate bank account with someone like Monzo or Revolut. One of those kind of banks, any bank really, makes no difference whatsoever, or use an existing account that you've never used before, and just make sure you keep your personal transactions and your business transactions 100% separate. And the main reason for this is just to make your life easier from an admin point of view, and it also makes it easier for your accountant in the future as well. So that's my first tip and most critical tip, I think. Tip number 2. So what I do is I have 2 separate cards linking to my bank account. One is for stock purchases and one is for expenses. And this just makes it easier for me to know that if a purchase is on one card, I know it's a stock purchase, and if it's on the other card, I know it's an expense. So it makes it easier for me, and it makes it easier for my accountant to know what transaction and what it is. Basically, they don't have to ask me, is this an expense, is this a stock purchase? They just know by what card it's on. And I also use a separate card as well. This is kind of like a bonus tip for any PayPal transactions. So I have a separate card, and anything I use PayPal through goes through this particular card, and that way we know that any PayPal transactions, they should always reconcile 100% to all the transactions on the PayPal card. Again, this is all just to make admin easier and make it easier for your accountant. Tip 3 is to make sure you track everything that you buy for the business, ensuring that you're tracking all your purchases and all your expenses. Now, I use amazseller.com, which is some software that I created, and it just makes it easier to know exactly what you've purchased and also to know the status of what you've purchased. So once you get more into Amazon, you're going to be doing 5, 10, 20 orders a day on average. And it's going to be very difficult to keep all this in your head. So when you order that kind of volume of orders, you don't know whether things have been delivered. Are there any missing units? Was anything damaged? Have you had to return anything? And if you have returned those items, have you gotten a refund yet? So all of these things are very hard to keep track in your head. So you need to use some software like Amazseller, or if you want, you can use a Google Sheet as well. It doesn't matter how you do it really, as long as you actually track it. And that is my next tip. That's really important. That's going to save you leaking a lot of money over time when items don't turn up, or they don't send you enough items, or you don't get refunded on those returns. Tip number 4 is to get into the habit of chasing invoices. Now, as a new seller, having invoices is not as critical as an established seller like myself. So me being VAT registered, I have to chase an invoice for every single item that I purchase and ensure that I'm able to reclaim the VAT for that. It's very good practice to get into this sort of practice earlier on when you're a new seller. Because you're going to have to do it as you become a more experienced seller. And it's also very important as well because your accountant is going to want to ask you to reconcile, or they're going to want to reconcile every single transaction that's gone through your bank account to either a receipt or an invoice. Now, when you're new, you can kind of get away with receipts. But once you're VAT registered, you need actual, proper VAT invoices. So get in the habit now of chasing those invoices, and try to do it as soon as you can, a few days after delivery or whatever. Tip number 5 is to stay on top of your admin. Now, I am kind of bad at admin, to be honest, and I tend to leave things to the last minute, but you get to learn from my mistakes. So it's very good to just try and allocate maybe 1 hour a day or half hour a day or whatever to just staying on top of your admin. And this is going to be things like making sure you've got all your purchases and expenses tracked in a Marcella or a spreadsheet, making sure that you've chased those invoices, made sure that you've sent all your stuff to the accountant if you've got one, and just staying on top of all the admin. And that way, when it comes to the end of the year, when you've got to file your taxes, or whether you're doing your quarterly VAT returns, it makes sure that you're up to date, and it's very easy for you and your accountant to submit those correct documents, correct tax returns and things like that. So saves you having to flounder at the the last minute trying to scrape everything together, emailing retailers 9 months after you've purchased, trying to chase a VAT invoice. It's not the best thing anyway to do. So yeah, stay on top of it. That is my best advice. Either allocate some time every day or every week just to stay on top of these things. So step 6, and it's sort of a bonus final tip, and that is to get an accountant. Now, when you first start out, an accountant seems like an unnecessary expense, let's put it like that. It can be roughly £100–150 a month. But my advice is to 100% get an accountant as soon as possible. So if you are getting started, get your feet wet, see how you think the Amazon business is going. And if you feel like this is anything that you're going to carry on doing, and you're going to make a good go of this, get an accountant. Because the last thing you want to do is get an accountant last minute, and then you'll be having to pay for them to backdate all your transactions. And again, it'll just be a total mess. Much better to stay on top of it now, get an accountant early on, and that way, you'll make sure that you're doing everything properly. And, there are two entities you don't want to piss off in this world, in the Amazon world anyway. The business world, I should say. But specifically to Amazon sellers, the two entities you do not want to piss off are Amazon, obviously, and HMRC, or the IRC, or whatever tax entities in your country. Those are the two entities you do not want to piss off. So it's definitely worth getting an accountant so you can stay on top of all that kind of stuff and do your taxes properly, because there's no avoiding it. Cool, guys. Hope you guys found that useful. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me grow the channel. I'm trying to put more effort into this channel and grow it. And if you've got any questions for me, you want to reach out to me, you can, leave a comment in the video, or you can reach out to me on Discord at FBA Mogul. And yeah, awesome, guys. Hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you in the next one.